Okay. All right. So, hello. My name is Indigo Let. I am actually welcome to 2025. I forgot to mention that. This is a yes. This is a big blue mic. I did have a little smaller mic before that you can clip on your collar, but yeah, I lost it somewhere. I'm sure it's somewhere in my house. But yeah, so welcome to the stream. Uh, and let me check if it's working on Facebook real quick. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Usually I get like a message saying we're live or something. Um, hold up. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I can hear myself. Okay, cool. And Facebook's um subtitles are working too. Okay. So yeah. All right, cool. So Facebook subtitles are working. That's really cool. Yeah, so we're live on Facebook, YouTube. Let me turn myself down real quick. Jesus. All right. So we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So if you're watching on either one of those, then that is great. But yeah, so welcome to the live stream. Like I said, my name is Indigo Let. I am the social media coordinator and also the treasurer of Strive. So what is Strive? So in the 2025, we can explain that right off the bat. Strive is also my thing broke, so that's why I'm holding it like this. So it broke a long time ago. So you see this big head blue microphone. I'm eventually going to try to get one that has like a little tiny pin thing, so you can kind of be a little more discreet, or have this set up somewhere else. But anyway, what is Strive? So Strive is a trans activist organization. What we do, essentially, we are in the Gulf Coast area. We're in the Pensacola, Florida area. Um, and so what we do is we take money from donations, basically just either Cash App or PayPal, and those donations go to um, trans people in the area, sometimes even trans people outside the area, trans and queer people in the area. And that can go to like HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, which is for trans people to help them transition. It also goes to clothes. It also goes to transportation. It also goes for doctor's appointments. Um, Sometimes housing as well. Housing is a bit harder just because it's been, especially with COVID coming up, COVID, not COVID happening. I'm sorry, or happening. It was really hard to house people, and honestly, understandable because it was just, you don't know if they had something or the person that they were housed had something. So we're still working on that part, but we still try to at least get people that may can house them, or and maybe we used to be able to do hotels and stuff like that, but the hotels have I used to work in one. The prices have definitely gotten higher, and also you have to put your card. Um, you have to put your card the um, on the account when you pay for the hotel. So rather than the person who you could just give them money and then um, have them pay for the night or whatever, your card has to be on the account. So it's been a bit iffy with that. So we try our best to like have a housing network of people who can help with that. Um, so uh, right now in Florida, technically, one of our state is like just because also our Pensacola as well. We don't really have a homeless shelter for queer and trans people here. I'm sure in a lot of places in the South, but definitely here in this Gulf Coast area, we don't. There is in New Orleans, there is the oh, what's it called? I want to say Lavender. How I forget what their title is, but not House of Lavender, but forget what their names is. But they do build housing for queer and trans people out there, little like tiny homes and stuff like that, and help them with housing much more than what we can do. Um, but they I think they use grants and stuff like that. But yeah, we also, with that being said, that we're not a 501c3, so that means we don't take money from the government in that regard. So we just basically take donations from the people. So if you do want to donate to us, like I said, we have a Cash App under Strive Pensacola. We have um and a PayPal as well. PayPal. I think we also have a Kofi. We have Patreon as well. There's tiers. If people want to just consistently donate, and that's great. But other than that, so let's get started with the news, the current news. Obviously, there's been a lot that's been happening in these last, um, I mean, the last year, the last few months. Um, so we have today. We have. Let me see if I can. Oh, I can't even bring it up. Anyway, so today we have. And obviously today's MLK Day, but also today is the presidential inauguration. Also, we will talk about Amendment 28, the 20th Amendment that got passed right before Biden left. And what's that mean? And then we will talk about the TikTok ban and then the subsequent bringing back of TikTok. So, um, so yeah. So, and then also like, I think a lot of us probably got hopefully a lot of us got a notice today that you won't be going into work Tuesday or Wednesday. Because I did. I got so Tuesday and Wednesday I won't be at work just because of the upcoming snowstorm, which like our snow that we'll be getting, because Florida, obviously we don't deal with snow too well. So um what I'm saying, as you can see. So let me see if I can I look at comments on this thing? I used to be able to get off the brand thing. Sorry, I'm trying to look and see. There used to be something on the side over here. But anyway, let me. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see you, Bree. Hello, Bree. Bree plays Overwatch with me, and plays other games, and they're cool. I see the Emma. Okay, there goes comments. Okay, so now I can see comments from all the places that we're live streaming from. So let's go over the first story. Obviously, it's happening now. Uh, yeah, it's cool. It's good to see you too, Mike. So yeah, like they said, if hopefully y'all can stay warm and everything, and because especially us in Florida, I know people. Bree lives in Missouri, so like it's already cold up there. But for us in Florida, this is kind of new. It did snow one time, like a little bit. I think it was during the height of COVID. I think it was 2021. It like snowed a little bit. Um, and but like it wasn't like this where we're gonna have like inches. It was like it just snowed and then like that was it. So it looked like sleet. It looked like baby snow, I guess you would call it. So let me go to the first story. Obviously Trump's inauguration is the big one. And we'll go through that rather quickly because obviously it's not something that a lot of people obviously have, and rightly so, have feelings over. Like in the title, the presidential inauguration extravaganza. Yeah, kids are hoping for real snow. Yeah, I hope so too. I lived in Texas when I was younger. I don't know if I don't know if that's why it's at half mast. I thought it was because of what's the name passing away. Uh, what's it? Jimmy Carter. I think Jimmy Carter passed away, and they had the flags at half mast at the beginning of the year. Um, and that was why the flags were at half mast. But I don't know about now. So maybe they'll have it for the whole month at half mast, but you know, but that was why in the beginning of the year that the flags were at half mast. Um, yeah, yeah, I mean, he passed away, I think before Christmas or a little after Christmas. I can't remember. But yeah, he was the president, before I was born, um, back in the late 70s. So, um, but yeah, so let me see if I can share my screen with y'all. And then, oh yeah, so let me talk about the Texas thing. So yeah, in Texas, I used to live in Fort Worth, Texas. They, we had snow one time, and I think I was like 5 or 6 years old. I think five, and my my mom took pictures of it. We actually had snow. We could basically make like snowballs and stuff like that, and barely made like a snowman. But it wasn't like up north snow where you probably can like, build, architecture with it. No. Let me see if I can share my screen. Hold on, yeah. Present. Is it present? Yeah. Screen share. Okay. That should, yeah, there we go. There we go. So we have this story. Let me see if I can say, let me scroll down for y'all. Is that large enough? Because it sometimes I don't want to. So let me tell you, Them magazine is large. Anyway, the the magazine is a magazine, online magazine that caters to, not caters, that's not the right word to say, but presents media news from a queer and trans sense. So if you want to know more about, um, if you want to know more about queer and trans news, uh, from a very good perspective, them magazine. I said them with a B in there somewhere. Anyway, them magazine is a magazine where uh, you can learn more news from that. That's not like, you know, NBC or CNN or obviously Fox News, their perspective, but you'll get a better perspective because queer and trans people write these articles and also they present these articles. So we'll just go over a little bit of this article, and then we'll jump to the MLK quotes after this, and then we'll go from there. So hold on. So the article says Trump is expected to sign a sweeping executive order attacking trans people today. Here's what we know. So let me, and then what size did I have this on? Oh, that's why I have it on. That's why it's large. I have it on like 150 plus. I think I always did that with articles so people can read it when I do these live streams. So that's why I was like, should it be at 100? But okay. So anyway, it says I'm gonna highlight the areas I'm gonna read so y'all can kind of see where I'm coming from. See where I'm reading. It says the order will reportedly aim to restrict the rights of incarcerated trans women, eliminate self-identification IDs, and ban preferred pronouns in public schools and federal funded institutions. Now, funny enough, in Florida, we already kind of have. Sorry, let me re-highlight this. In Florida, we already kind of have some of this, obviously, with uh, well, not the preferred pronouns parts, but I think the incarcerated trans women, the restrict the rights of that, and then eliminate the self-identification on IDs. So like we I think we still can self-identify on the ID, but like it just has to be male or female. It can't be like, well, yeah, in Portland and other areas they do like they have like an X they can put on their IDs. Probably a lot of non-binary people, like myself, will do that. But in our state, we cannot do that. So let's go down. Let's see. I'm gonna highlight this part here. So President Donald Trump is reportedly planning a day one executive order that commences the newly elected commander in chief's promised assault on trans rights. As of today, it will henceforth be the policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female, President Donald Trump said in his Monday inauguration speech. Let me go down. And then let me highlight this. There we go. The executive order, as first obtained by the Free Press, is expected to reaffirm many of the anti trans pledges that were hallmarks of his 2024 presidential campaign. Said to be entitled Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government, the order reportedly defines gender in matters of federal government policy exclusively as male and female assigned at birth. So there's the terms of so when we talk about um, AFAB and AMAB, those are those terms. So like assigned female at birth and assigned male at birth. I try to go back and explain these things because we have people who, may not understand um, those types of uh, those types of meetings. So when you may have a trans person who may transitioned masculinely, they may be like, "Well, I was assigned, female at birth," or vice versa if they were, um, you know, a feminine transition femininely, they may be assigned male at birth. So those are those types of terms there. Okay. Oh, let me go back. No. Okay. Um, Let me scroll down a little bit more. Here we go. There it is. Okay. So Trump's order also reportedly takes aim at gender corrections on U.S. passports. Per the press, the directive states that passports under the new administration will reflect the biological reality and not self-assessed gender identity. That pledge appears to roll back the Biden era of policies that allowed non-binary people since October 2021 to apply uh, for X gender markers on federal U.S. passports. Yes, so that was something that here in Florida we were at. It took me way too long to realize that ACAB wasn't a cop at birth. I mean, there are probably some that were a cop at birth. They started watching Paw Patrol and Dogman, and they were like, "I think I know what I want to be." Nah, um, yeah. So the let me go back. Hold on. so, so the apply for X gender markers is what I was talking about before. We were saying that in Strive, we were saying that like, hey, it'd be great if you get your gender marker changed on your passport, so that it'd be easier to get your gender marker change on your ID and your license. Because they can't deny you at the passport as much as they can deny you at the with your driver's license or your ID. So, but now it looks like it's going to be difficult if he does this in the first day or the first few days, or usually they call it like the news will be like, what did the president do in their first 100 days? So, um, you know, uh, and so that would be probably something he may try to do in his first 100 days, and we'll see uh, what happens then. So let me keep going. Where we go? Let's see. Now it still talks about the passports. Hold on. Let me highlight this. So another move, not explicitly hinted at in the Trump's campaign platform, is reportedly a directive that will instruct the Bureau of Prisons, BOP, which is weird. Anyway, to cease housing incarcerated trans people in women's correctional facilities. But the policy for Trump is hardly unprecedented. During his prior term, the administration directed the BOP to use biological sex as the initial determination when determining housing assignments. Um, so this is also problematic as well. Now, I understand if you are, you know, you could think about like, oh, the danger for the cis women that are in there. Like the last thing a trans person wants to do is cause any more trouble than they already had, and then you're already in prison as well. So like now you're putting them back in. Um, this case would probably be the male prison, and so now they're in much more danger in that male prison, especially if they've medically transitioned, and you know all the if all the signifiers, I hate to say that, but all the signifiers for being being feminine is there, and then they get put back in the male prison. Yeah, that's going to be a bit, not a bit. It's going to be dangerous for that trans woman. Um, and so it, that's mainly who they're talking about. I'm sure there's dangerous if a trans man goes back to a women's prison too. I'm sure, but or just any non-binary person. But this is definitely attacking trans women that are in are in the women's prison, and they're trying to send them back to the other prison. So let me go back to, let's see. Let's see. Okay, let me highlight that. So the policies on prisons also take stands in the provision of necessary health care for trans inmates. Returning to a major theme of the 2024 campaign, during a debate against former Vice President Kamala Harris, Trump said that his opponent wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison, a claim that was repeated ad nauseum in his campaign ads. Yeah, so if y'all remember, like that was one of the main things during, he said it during debate, but he was saying that before the debate, and it just very ugly language, trying to basically fearmonger people to fight a cultural war. While funny enough, their finances and economical withstanding is horrible, but like focus on, you know, focus on the scary transgender people. But um that is something that has been done by that side of the aisle, so expect more of that in the upcoming years. So okay, there we go. Let me see, trying to see if there's another part. I think there was there any. Also, let me just read this little part, but which is something the states have been doing anyway. Anyway, so let me scroll up a little bit. So it says Trump has vowed to end gender affirming care for trans youth, ban trans kids from playing sports, and erase trans people from public life. Can he do it? That is, no, he cannot. But um, the states have already, especially Florida, we have already, um, begin to end, if not already, ended gender affirming care for trans youth. I think you have to be 18 now to get any sort of care. It used to be 16. And you could be 12 years old and start like puberty blockers, right? But that was up to the parents' discretion. It was between the kid, the doctor, and the parent. Like it wasn't anybody else outside of that. It was the kid's decision who, felt maybe they were out, they felt maybe they were not of their gender or how they felt about themselves. And then the parents, they at this point, I'm sure they went to therapy a bunch and had conversations with the kid and was like, this is what you really want. Yes. And then they went to the doctor, and then the doctor will continue to ask those questions because it is a big decision for a kid to start that. And that was the only thing the kid would do is like anything the kid would do really was like dressing as the gender they wanted to be. And then, like I said, as soon as they got before, this is before DeSantis, I think, actually, before DeSantis came in, which is our governor. A kid could be 12 years old, start puberty blockers, and there's no, and it's reversible. The puberty blockers are reversible. So, um, but mainly it was about the kid just dressing up as the gender they felt they were as. So, and then when they got 16, that's when they can start to take the estrogen or testosterone. But now it's 18. Um, so now you have a bunch of kids who do feel a certain way about themselves, but can never act on it, except for maybe in dress, until they get 18. So that could cause some psychological damage down the line, and it has, not being able to at least take those first few steps. And so, with our state, especially in Florida, and we've seen it in other states in the South. Um, and then the banning trans kids from playing sports. That's another one where it's like, especially for kids, like usually, and people have made the argument of actually doing sports by like weight class, because like a lot of times with weight classes, um, usually people are around about the same height, weight, and ability. So you could do it like that. But we've said like there's not. I mean, there's only like maybe like 3 or 4 trans kids that play sports in the state, and then you're just like attacking them for it. And it's sad too because we have to go like these athletes are like bare average, like they're just like, they're super average athletes, and because of that, because they're not going to win, and if they do win, they only win like once in a blue moon, and then that gets blown up. So, um, but yeah, so those have been the issues that have been really focused on by the right, but also just by our country in general. And these issues that are, and I'll probably just end the article here, but these issues that are being talked about are a distraction. Honestly, they're a distraction. They're an important thing to talk about. Obviously for queer and trans people, we understand that, but as a whole country, it is a distraction to the economical and the um, sociological, or just ecological issues that are plaguing us right now. And so, while it's understandable for us, especially for queer and trans people, to kind of fight back against that, it's also, I think, up to cis and straight people to kind of understand that, like, they're trying to get you to forget about your own issues of like kitchen table issues, like where your kid's gonna go to school, where the food is at, where clothes on your back, living spaces, your working conditions, and how much money you're making. All these issues are being put on the back burner because they're trying to fearmonger you about the scary queer trans people. And so um and usually a lot of people who have queer and trans people in their lives are like, they're just like us. It's nothing. We exist, right? So it is just something to remember when we go through these conversations, is like, it's important to combat these issues as they come up, but also it's like the big thing is like your you know the politicians are always trying to get you hit with cultural issues that, in the end of the day, if you just talk to a trans person or talk to the person of that culture, you would come to the agreement of like, this what they're doing to you is bullshit. Let's move on and try to fight for our class, right? So um a lot of times that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to split you up so that you won't focus on the real issue, which is class. um and so but yeah, we'll go with that. So that's it for that article. There was another article that talked about what families are going to do with Trump being in office. I'll go on that later. Maybe another live stream. I'll do that one. But and then with these live streams, I try to go for about an hour. This one might be a little longer just because we got so much that's going on. But I will hold on. Let me go to the MLK thing here. Let me end that screen share there. Okay. So let me see. Hold on. I just wanted to screen share. Let me screen share. Okay, there we go. Where are you at? There it is. And speaking of economical, just you're just speaking of just economics, like a lot of people, when we talk about, today is obviously MLK Day as well. A lot of times when we talk about MLK or Martin Luther King Jr., the full name, a lot of times he's been, I think the word has been the Santa Clausification of Martin Luther King. So the only thing you hear is the "I Have a Dream" speech, or you hear somebody tried to message me or something. Anyway, what you hear is like the "I Have a Dream" speech. You hear like, like I'm trying to think of all the quotes about like peace and love and stuff like that, which are important. I'm not, we're not saying that's not important, but there's a lot more to him than than what was been given to you in school. A lot of times, Martin Luther King definitely was a radical man, was put in jail for trying to fight for civil rights. And those, I think it was the Birmingham jail speeches or papers. I can't remember what it was called, but he was put in jail. Um, his numbers, especially one of the things that people don't know is like on his when talking about Vietnam, he was the one who was like we shouldn't go. He was one of the first. Obviously, people heard about Muhammad Ali saying not going, but MLK was one of the first to say, "Why are we there? Why are we going there? Why? What are we doing? We shouldn't go." And people, honestly, at the time, his approval numbers were even back then. He had approval numbers too. His approval numbers were like in the 20s, if I'm not mistaken. Like he was, because it wasn't just white people who were upset with. There was also black people who were upset with him too on that issue about Vietnam. And you know, just like we see with 9/11 and other things like that, when it comes to like just this very jingoistic, militaristic attitude about something without actually thinking about the consequences about what we're about to do. You do have people speak out about the Iraq War and they got shot down. Like, I mean, people. There was news anchors who actually had something to say that was, I forgot it. Phil Donahue was one of them. I think it was. I can't remember another one, but there was a few who like spoke up against the Iraq War and they were cut off the air. And so you see it with MLK as well, where he talks about Vietnam and and he was proven to be right. Like at the end of the day, he was proven to be right. Should have been there. But it's something to be said that there's more about his life than just civil rights. He was also fighting for and probably the thing that I would say theoretically got him killed was him fighting for workers' rights. Um, fighting for civil rights and fighting for racial justice is, obviously as a black person, was amazing. But him also fighting for workers' rights and fighting for economic justice is just as important because it helps you to understand that like your when you fight for workers' rights, you're also fighting for people who, because like we say this, yeah, the Memphis trash collectors, exactly. And funny enough, that's where he got killed in Memphis, Tennessee. He was actually fighting for the Memphis Trash Collective. He did, I think his son does have an organization, and the organization that he was trying to build before he died, that was going to fight for workers' rights. I can't remember what it's called right now in my head, but he was starting that collective to fight for workers' rights, and I think his son carried it. His wife and his son carried that legacy on with him. And the man, just did a lot more than just be this like figure of just we shall overcome civil rights and then that. So let me go through the quotes real quick on capitalism. Actually, he has a few quotes on capitalism that let me make this larger because I think this is kind of smaller. Holy, okay. That's big as heck. So oh, my bad. Yeah, so Martin Luther King has some quotes on capitalism. A lot of times people don't yeah, see, this is one of the quotes you'll see like up here, like the injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. You know, we're caught in the inescapability of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all directly. Um, Now that quote is powerful enough, but that's one of the quotes you would normally see, but you wouldn't actually see. Hold on. So what you would see in a book would be, actually, let me do it this way. You would see this quote. It would just be this: the injustice anywhere is a great justice. It's a great justice everywhere, and then that'd be it. You wouldn't even see this part. You wouldn't see this latter half. Sometimes they as I said, our news or our history books would cut off some parts of his speeches and some parts of, because saying that we are caught in an escapability of network mutuality, tied in the single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all directly, affects all indirectly. So just even with that quote alone is important because um there's a theory called the curb cut theory. Now oh yeah, Thank you, Hooded Ornament. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna try to do these at least 2 times a month. Imma try at least 2 times a month, so but yeah, I know everybody's off today, so or at least a lot of people are off today. I used to work at a movie theater, we weren't off any day, and same thing with a hotel, we weren't off any day. It was, rare, but for those who are off, um, yeah, and who are watching this, thank you for watching, yeah. Um So yeah, so when we talk about this latter half of the quote, like I said, the curb cut theory, it was a theory done in the 70s. So like a theory that was made from the 70s. So back in the day, they didn't have curb cuts. If you go on any street, there's a curb cut right at the curb that people with disability can roll their wheelchairs on, right? You see those curb cuts like you I mean, you don't even have to be downtown. You could be at, I don't know, some street where there's businesses, and there's usually like a curb that's cut. It's not like this, there's a part of the sidewalk, and then there's a weird dip thing where it connects the street to the sidewalk, right? So they started making those in the 70s. I think it was 1974. So they started making those in the 70s, and people were like, "Oh, that's great. They made curb cuts for the disabled," right? Well, also that the theory is when you make something for the disadvantaged, it also helps the people who are privileged as well. So are privileged, not well privileged, and also who are they don't need it as well. So for example, yeah, people with wheelchairs were able to roll up on the curb now, but also mothers who had their children in a stroller were able to roll up on the curb cut. Um, People who rode bikes, people who maybe have crutches, or they have walking issues, um, people who ride skateboards, like it helps so many other people get up on the curb than it was originally intended. And so when we talk about one thing affecting everybody, yes, skateboard, yep. One thing affecting everybody. That is the thing that he's talking about here. So you think you're not affected by, um, for example, when we talk about actually during his time when people were when civil rights was happening, they started taking down a lot of the public parks and recs, and um, we see the pictures of bleach being poured into the pool. You see pool places being shut down, parks being shut down, because they didn't want black and brown people to engage in the same thing white people were engaging. So we call it, I think it's cut off your nose to spite your face. So for a lot of people, they were like, I don't want to see those people enjoy or be joining the same things we're joining. So now there's a lot of problems we're seeing with parks and recs now. We're seeing a lot of things with public transportation because people moved out of the cities. Now they're trying to move back in, and obviously that has gentrification issues. But when you start to your hatred for people is so strong that it's starting to affect your livelihood, and not allowing people to have access to healthcare, not allowing people have access to transportation and things like that will start affecting you too. And so that's what he's talking about. So let's go to the other quotes here. This might be a 2-hour one. We're gonna nah, it ain't gonna be 2 hours. but, but let's go with these quotes. Was this the first one? Yeah. So his first one here is just kind of a um, so it says, I imagine you already know that I'm much more socialistic in my economic theory than capitalism. Capitalism started out with a noble and high motive, but like most human systems, it fell victim to the very thing that it's revolting against. So today, capitalism has outlived its usefulness. That was probably one of the first quotes I saw when I was, I think, college age. That because um, we didn't learn much about him in K through 12. It was, a lot of the speeches, the I Have a Dream speech and all that. But then when I got to college and I took African American history class, college, there was much more quotes like this. Um, put in there, and it was just, it was eye opening because I you know I wasn't told that. Um, he has one that says, in a sense that you could say we're involved in the class struggle. Um, but let's go to this one. Highlight this one real quick. So this is the speech to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in Atlanta. So he says, and one day we must ask the question, why are there 40 million poor people in America? And when you begin to ask that question, you are raising questions about the economic system, about a broader distribution of wealth. When you ask that question, you begin to question the capitalistic economy. And I'm simply saying that more and more, we've got to begin to ask the questions about the whole society. I mean, this is for any socialist or communist, but especially anybody that is a basic question that has been asked. So this question that you think you're having now is not new. Um, and we're seeing that now. We're seeing a lot of people who, and I'll might tie in a little bit of the TikTok issue with this one. There's people who, when TikTok was banned, we saw a lot of people go to Red Note, and when they went to Red Note, they started talking with Chinese people there, and they were like, "Oh, so you," because Chinese people were asking us questions like, "So you work two jobs?" They're like, "Yeah." So you don't have maternity leave? Yeah. Like, what I'm saying? Like, your kids have to have bulletproof backpacks? Some cases, yeah. So like, and just like you're struggling to pay rent? Like, we're not you don't have to really struggle to, and so it's just these questions and things that are asked, and like it just makes you question. um Yeah, it just makes you question the government, and it makes you question the economic system we're living in. Um, let me see. Yeah, let's go to this one. This is another, like, he's hitting like basic points that a lot of people. So this was a speech to the Negro American Labor Council back in 1961. My controller almost dropped on the floor, and that was insane. Let me adjust myself real quick. Okay. All right. Anyway, he says, call it democracy, call it democratic socialism, but there must be a better distribution of wealth within the country for all God's children. Um, which, like I said, another powerful quote. I'm trying to find. Yeah, let's do this one, and then I'll switch over to the Amendment 28 um, thing real quick, and that's going to be really short. It's not going to be too long with that one, but he says, we this was a report to the, I think, Southern Conference, SCLC. I don't know what that is, from what it was back in the day. But anyway, so he says we must recognize that we can't solve our problem until there's a radical redistribution of economical and political power. This means a revolution of values, among other things. We must see that the evils of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism is all tied together. You can't really get rid of one without getting rid of the others. The whole structure of American life must be changed. America is a hypocritical nation, and we must put our own house in order. Correct. Correct. Like, and that's all the way back in 1967. So, you know, um, him saying that is amazing. And there's also a quote on like white liberals, but I can't find that one. We won't do that one because the conversation. But if you could just MLK white liberal quote, you can just find it. But and that was really powerful too. But I just wanted to talk about the economic side of it. So let's go to the Amendment 28 thing, and let's see. Hold on. This is going to be from the Center for, I think, it's Center for American Progress. This is where the article's coming from. Don't add that to stage. Take off the stage. Oh, stop the screen. Hold on. I gotta do that again. Hold on. Yes. Okay. So the art. Oh, let me see if it's blown the heck up. I think it might be. It is not. Okay. There we go. Let's try 125 this time. That should be big enough. All right. Get off the screen. Okay. So yeah, there you go. I could. Yeah. See the. He said the Negro's great stumbling block and the stride towards freedom is the white moderate. Yeah, and I think he goes on to say it's not the white Ku Klux Klaner, it's not the white councilman, um, but it's it's the person who tells you that like time. Uh, he tries to set the time for another man's like freedom. Um, I think he says like those of ill will are not better, but they're like I understand them better than the person who's trying to like set who's trying to like liberate my movement basically who's trying to like um kind of do that. But anyway, so that's one for me, that's one of the greatest quotes because um we often see that like with each and every election almost like every single time, and so it is something that just needs to be often said um, by black people especially. So but let's go to this article. Let's see. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see something real quick. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so let me go back to that article. No, that's not it. Um. So yeah, the ERA solidifies women's rights in the Constitution as the 28th Amendment. The federal government. Let me highlight this part. The federal government has finally recognized the Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution, ushering in a whole new era for gender parity in this country. And the author is Kate Kelly, which sounds like a cartoon name. Hi, my name is Kate Kelly. Like, all right. No, I'm just kidding. No, nah, but I'm just some names just be like two first names, and I just be like, nah. Nah. Um, Actually, let me blow this up a little more. Yeah, I thought I was gonna. There we go. Okay. Let's see. So this will be a quicker one, and then we'll just talk about TikTok. I don't have any articles on TikTok, but so anyway, today President Biden formally recognized the equal rights, or former President Joe Biden now, formally recognized the Equal Rights Amendment, ERA or ERA, as the 20th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The ERA reads, "Equal rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on the account of sex. This is the most substantial advancement of women's rights in this country since the 19th Amendment, which gave women the Constitution the right to vote in 1920." So that 19th Amendment, I'm gonna just say this: that was for white women the right to vote at the time. Um, because black women didn't get the right to vote. I want to say the 60s, funny enough. And I think Asian and Latino women got it in the four. I can't remember. I think it was I think women of color got it in the 60s. I want to say altogether, but with the Voting Civil Rights Act. Um, so just remember that. I just wanted to put that in there. Anyway, the United States now joins the 85% of countries in the world that has a gender provision in their federal constitutions. The import and potential impact of the new 20th Amendment cannot be overstated. So let me go to this part here. Oh, I went down. Okay. No, do this. Okay. There we go. All right. Not only the president recognized the amendment's ratification, but he did so with the support of hundreds of thousands of Americans. In addition to the 38 states that ratified the ERA as the 20th Amendment, more than 200,000 Americans signed the petition this week, calling for the specific act to solidify the constitutional equality. The data for progress polling from December showed 61% of voters who would support President Biden publishing the Equal Rights Amendment and adopting it as the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. And a 2020 Pew Research poll found that 78% of Americans believe that the ERA should be a part of the Constitution, even if they didn't identify as feminists. With this official recognition today, the will of the people has been vindicated. Um, so yeah, now we have. Actually, let's talk about what it does. What will the 20th Amendment do? Okay. Make possible for all. Get out of here, you little Twitter X little thing. Anyway, what let me do it. All right, you're just gonna have to look at that. Anyway, make make possible equal citizenship for all. The constitutional amendment is a permanent foundation upon which we can build a gender equal future in this country. Primarily, it will help in two areas: litigation and legislation. Currently, it is difficult for women to win in court if they experience gender discrimination because it's not explicitly prohibited in the Constitution. Altering the text of the Constitution itself will improve outcomes when women seek the legal redress for things like pay and employment discrimination, which is very important. A lot of times, um, women are like the ones who are they fear the most about talking about pay. I think on average, I think it's women who are the most. If we're just talking about two genders here, right? Like if we're just talking about that, I think women are the less likely to talk about pay and also talk about they probably talk about employment discrimination a bit more than their male counterparts, but I think it's flipped. So men talk about pay more than women, and I think women talk about employment discrimination more than men. But don't quote me on that. From what I'm thinking, that's probably the especially the pay part. I think I'm right on the pay part, but the employment discrimination. I mean, I don't have articles on that to really, but the pay part, I think I'm mostly right on because I think a lot of the women who, especially if it's a job where like there's mostly women working it, they're probably even less likely, or just as less likely as if they're just like the only woman there at the job. So it it's it's just something now that at least it gives them the more of a confidence, let's just say, to be able to go to their employer and go like, hey, I need to be paid more. I'm not being, because also this is a thing too with jobs. Talk to your fellow employees about what they get paid, you know. Usually with minimum wage jobs this comes too, but like just on a side note, like just talk to your fellow employees and like if you're both doing the same job and you both came in around about the same time and they're getting paid more, you may want to talk about it with your employer, honestly, because like that's messed up, right? So um you'd rather do that than leave it on the table. Obviously it's hard, so I'm not saying it's an easy thing to talk about, especially with your employer, but it's also something good to do. So let's go down here. Where I got lost. Let's see. I'm gonna do this. Oh, okay. Oh. All right. So it says the second clause of the 20th Amendment states the Congress shall have the power to enforce, appropriate legislation and the provisions of this. Oh, let me read that again. I'm sorry, y'all. The second clause of the 20th Amendment states the Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriative legislation the provisions of this article. This gives Congress a brand new constitutional hook to pass laws that protect women, girls, and all marginalized genders in this country. Uh, Let me keep going. Hold on. I'm just going to read the rest of this. So it's going to be down here like this. Okay. So it lays the groundwork for robust federal laws that will not be ruled unconstitutional, as it was with the civil remedy victims who could sue their perpetrators, contained in the original version of the Violence Against Women Act, WAVA. WAVA? All right. For example, women in this country could get laws that could help functionally eliminate the gender wage gap, as well as stronger laws to combat pregnancy discrimination in the workplace. Another example of the power and potential of the 20th Amendment is in restoring the federal constitution right to access abortion care. State level ERAs have already been used to strike down abortion bans in such states as Connecticut, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. The new federal ERA can be similarly leveraged to enshrine abortion access nationwide. So that is a big plus. Obviously, with Trump in office, it's going to be definitely fought and combated against, but nationally. But if the states could, you know, maybe add back their abortion rights, then that may overturn anything that he can do technically, because he famously wants to like let the states decide things. So if the states decide abortion's back, and then abortion is widely accessible and back, he has to take that. So um, and I think yeah. So that is something I just want to go over there, and then so that's with that, and then yeah, pay. Oh, let me read. It doesn't help that most employers make you think it's yeah. Talk about your pay. Yeah, exactly. Employers want to try to not allow you to talk about your pay. Like they really don't. But really, you have the right to talk. It is not illegal in any state in this country to not talk about your pay with your fellow workers. So it's no matter what gender you are, no matter who you are, it is okay to say, hey, how much are you getting paid? I'm getting paid this much. You're getting paid that much? Hold on. It's that meme from oh, what's that movie? Is that movie is like, I'm getting paid this much. I'm only getting paid this much. I'm getting paid that much. I'm getting paid, It's like, I mean, y'all are getting paid. So I can't remember that movie. It's like a family movie or something, but it's a meme. I have to find it one day, but it's funny. But yeah, so and then I don't have any articles on the TikTok ban because it was the Millers. Yeah. Yeah, it was the Millers movie. I can't remember the main actor. Was it okay? I know Jennifer Aniston was in it, but I can't remember the main guy. Um but um but yeah, so there's not really an article on TikTok. It happened so quickly. So I'm sure there was articles on it. Um but obviously if you have probably been I don't even think you needed TikTok if you didn't know the news. So um Saturday around about, I think, if you 10 p.m. standard time, um uh TikTok had gotten shut down. Now why TikTok shut it down, there's a lot of reasons. We can go over the fact that people or the government feared that you know the Chinese government was taking your data, even though Facebook does that. Instagram, obviously, Facebook, Instagram does that. From what I've seen, Messenger may be the worst at it, um, and shares your data and takes your data. Um, what is it, Twitter, all these other sites do the same thing, right? So, and I see even more so. Also, the fact that we saw what happened or happening with the Israel Palestine situation, and we saw a lot of young people, you know, see the news live that was happening there and getting their perspective from the Palestinian side compared to getting the Israeli perspective that has been the perspective for generations. Um, and so that was a thing as well as one of the major factors of why they wanted to shut down TikTok. Um, and just like, you know, it was a new app that the other apps, especially Mark Zuckerberg and a few of them, they it was a rival app. It was an app that they couldn't compete with. They had to. I mean, we saw there's Instagram Reels now. There's YouTube Reels now. There's I think Facebook has Reels, right? So all of them were trying to copy, but they can never duplicate the same um, feel that you get from TikTok. Also, it. Um, yeah, yeah, especially for yeah, exactly. So that was a major thing as well, and so we see it with a lot of people with these businesses. They get when they get rivaled. Actually, it's funny enough that they talk about capitalism so much, but then actually when capitalism happens, they're like, "Oh my god, we gotta block it off. We gotta we gotta stop the very thing that you're promoting in your economic system." So I should have turned on the light. Anyway, I thought it was going to be the light from the sun was going to help me here, but it helped a little bit. But I forgot it's 3 o'clock now, and the sun's kind of going down now after that. But anyway, so yeah, so with TikTok, yeah, exactly. So people were talking about the Congo, other parts of Africa. Like, I mean, there was information about West Africa now fighting back against the French, Niger. I think it's Niger, Sierra Leone. There's a few other states on the west side of Africa that are actually fighting back against the French, and just other parts of the world. Also, you get to see like people live walking through different countries, getting different perspectives from different people, people's voices that normally. And I wouldn't say it's maybe not much to say that TikTok was probably the most left of all the social media apps. And that's not saying that much because obviously there's right wingers on TikTok too. So, but excuse me, but at least on TikTok, there was a lot of like discourse that made you that it came from different sides. It just wasn't like one or two perspectives, and then you just had to like that was it, or one or two main talking points about a perspective. And so, yes, also, you know, the TikTok is so helpful for the disability community. I think her name's Crutches of Spice. Majorly, I love her. She always, I think she has. Does she have cerebral palsy? I think she does. Um, but she has her own, issues with disability. And yeah, she talks about, her disability and how, you know, um, her disability rights activism is just amazing. One of her main talking points, funny enough, was like, and I noticed this too because I'm also autistic, but when I was growing up, like when I was going through college, even a lot of the autistic people, especially a lot of the white men who are autistic, usually a lot of them, not a lot, all of them, but like a bit of them are they're literally like libertarian or right wing, right? And one of the things she brought up was the fact that a lot of the disability activists, um, especially some of them were right wing, is because people often forget the elderly usually votes more to the right, and usually a lot of times the elderly are disabled. So who goes to them? Not a lot of liberals. Saying a lot of the liberals go to people who can walk, right? That's one of the main points. The right wingers are the ones who talk to the disability community a lot of times because, like I said, a lot of the elderly are, you know, are are disabled. So they get they get the people that come to them that try to help them with their issues are probably right-wing politicians. So that's why you do see that. You see, that's why you would think like, oh, disability activists, you think they'd be mostly left wing, um, but there's a lot of right wingers in there because a lot of your liberal faves don't go to these people. They don't talk to these people as much as the right wing. So even though the right wing probably won't really do much for them in the entirety, but having, if you still play the two-party system, having somebody who comes to you and at least addresses your issue is important. So that's why they're like, well, I'll vote for Trump or I'll vote for this right wing, mayor or Paul or, senator or whomever. And so that's why you see that. And so, yeah, she brought up so many important issues when it comes to disability rights and the Democratic Party. She called it the Democratic Party on throughout the entire election, and it was amazing. Yeah, also queer and trans people that were on there, that are on there, amazing left and right, black artists, black and brown content creators. Just information that I already knew somewhat, but there's some stuff that they talked about like, oh shoot, I didn't know, especially the black and brown people that were outside the states. They talk about their issues in their countries or talk about their experiences in our country and how they felt. And so you just get different perspectives from different people. And that's something I've been wanting for the world in general, is to have that type of like conversation and talk so that you're very similar to each other and you're going through very similar things so that you don't feel alone in your, you don't feel alone in your in your issues. Because there's so many people that are probably going through very similar. Let me read I can't. Oh, I swear to God, Discord. I swear to God. Anyway, Discord keeps on giving me notifications. Anyway, um, I can't remember the quote, but it's like your thought process or inner monologue that can be best described as a combo of the 5 people you're around the most. So it makes sense the disability community is dominated by. Yep. So that's what I'm saying. So, um, and so, but yeah, so it's just so many people on there. And like I said, when TikTok went down and people started going to Red Note, um, you started talking with Chinese people and you're hearing their rent is lower, the fact that they have healthcare, the fact that maternity leave is there, the fact that, you know, yeah, they may be constricted by their government in some other ways, but at least, they have things that we don't have. We really don't have, right? And Red Note is really not their TikTok. Their TikTok is called Douyin. You can look it up on TikTok right now, or just look up videos on there. You'll see because they'll have a video of them doing something, and then and go like doing or something like that. So Red Note is kind of their Instagram. Like it's like Instagram TikTok-ish, right? But it's like not their TikTok. Their TikTok is Douyin, Chinese TikTok. So yeah, we then the site came back up like yesterday, right? And so now we're, a lot of speculation on like why did the site come back up so quickly? Why did what's the cause for this? People are already mentioning like the CEO of TikTok and Mark Zuckerberg was at the inauguration today. So they've been said that there's some deal that's probably been made. TikTok will probably not be the same. I mean, let's be honest, like it's not going to be the same site. Does that mean that you should leave it? That's up to you to decide. I don't know. I do have a Red Note, so I'm going to stay on there just in case it gets shut down again. We'll see. But I honestly don't know. It does, because I think Trump gave it another 90 days, I want to say, to make a deal. So, but it makes him look good. It makes him look good that the Democrats were like, but he was the first person, and people forgot about this. He was the first person that wanted to get it shut down in the first place, right? But then the Democrats actually shut it down. Unfortunately, they were the ones that got it shut down. So it's just And then now he's, going to be this quote unquote savior that brought it back. But like I said, I think maybe Mark Zuckerberg and the CEO of TikTok have probably made a deal at this point. Maybe he's the CEO of TikTok, still has a financial stake in it, but now it's going to be combined. I think there was a rumor that people said that, like, on their Facebooks, it said that you can link your TikTok, but I don't know if that was real or not. But like I said, we'll see in these next few months what will happen. But yeah, like I said, TikTok, I think for right now, is in a weird place. And for me, it was better than all the other social media apps. Um, and that's not saying much, but it was saying something. And like I said, all the different perspectives that we got or we're getting, and all the communities that are being built. And another thing too, about it was all the small businesses that people had on there. There were so many people who either left their current job or um yeah, they left their current job, or they part-time working now because, oh, I've got my TikTok business that's making me money on top of the job, the little part-time job I have or whatever. So it's just great to see people being able to, like, not have to, no offense, like, I love working in the library, but like it's still a 9 to 5. And so, like, you still got to get up in the morning and do all that stuff. But with TikTok, you don't, you set your own time. You set your own, you advertise yourself, you do all that yourself, and you have it for yourself. And so now that freedom of being able to have your own business is there. So with TikTok, and it was able to give people money, and people were able to buy their homes and buy a car and, like, like, really support their families with it. So similar to YouTube back in the day. But I guess it's YouTube to this day, to be honest with you, in some sense. Some people can do it, but it's rare now. It's rare now. Like, but yeah. So that would, let me see. Yeah, I miss it, but I'm happy to have experienced it. Its potential. Hold on. Let me. Its potential was far too powerful. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Its potential was far too powerful. Like, there were so many people who, like, were on there. Like, I mean, you could start a protest with, like, that, so you could start a movement like that. The access to information was like, not to just be to throw a librarian in it, but it was like a library of information on there from different people from different perspectives. Um, just giving you things that, like, you just didn't think about before. And so, like I said, especially with the disability community. And yeah, for example, I didn't know that if you got married and you had a disability, you lose your disability. You use your I forget what it's called. You lose your disability check. So if you're disabled, you get disability, you get married to somebody, you can lose your disability. That's just stupid. That's just like, you can get married to somebody who just working at, like, McDonald's, and they'd be like, "Oh, take it away." What? So, they're acting like disability people are getting married to, like, millionaires or something, like, and even then, you don't know how long they're gonna be dating that person. Like, bruh, what? So, so yeah, it's just wild. And so, like, those little things, information that you keep with you, so when you go into conversations with other people, it, it's yeah, it's just something to bring up. And, like, people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's true. Yeah, yeah. You get married, you're on disability, you can't get you lose your disability. Yeah, my life is not hinged on a relationship going smoothly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, and so, but yeah, so that is the TikTok situation that's happening right now. So TikTok is back. So it's back. It's able to use. I do feel bad for the people who uninstalled their apps. Like my roommate Ash, they uninstalled it the night of, and now they can't get back in. I'm sure it's going to be back on the. They have an Apple. They have an Apple phone, so hopefully the App Store will bring it back. I don't know if anybody uninstalled on Android, is it back in the Play Store, but the Google Play Store. but I didn't uninstall it because I was like, they're probably going to bring it back. I was just hoping and hopes they were going to bring it back, and they did. So, um, but yeah, uh, excuse me, yeah, but for the and also just small communities that was on there. Like um, I love the little Splatoon community that we have on there on TikTok. I love playing. I started playing Splatoon. Splatoon's a Nintendo Switch game. It's kind of like it's a shooter type of game. Kind of not FPS actually. Is it third part? Yeah, it's FPS, but it's a game that's on there, and it's a fun game on the Nintendo Switch. And they have a community, and it was just a little great community that we're in and a part of. And I watched people live streams on there and played with them as they're live streaming and stuff, and stuff like that, like just to take your mind off of your daily, you know, grind and work, and be able to be part of a community that is as good as them. And so, and that was being taken away, and from a lot of people. And so, but like I said, it's back, and I'm just hoping that we can keep it, but hopefully it won't be. It's probably going to be diluted, I'm sure, in the upcoming months. And it's probably going to change a little bit. I'm just hoping it won't change for the worse. But yeah. Um. Lastly, I'm not. I'm gonna just mention this really quickly, because it just happened 3 or 4 hours ago. Leonard Petier, who was a let me see if I can bring him up real quick. I'm just gonna hold on. Get me off of there. Nope, don't add the stage. Take off stage. Take off the stage. Okay. All right, screen share. Where are you at? Was it this? Yeah. Okay. So no. So yeah. And lastly, because like I said, this just happened. So Indigenous activist Leonard Petier was granted clemency by President Biden. So like usually one of the last things that presidents do is um, they grant clemency, or they allow prisoners to be free. And so Leonard uh, I forgot how to say his name. I'm so tired. I've been speaking so much. Anyway, Leonard Piertier has been released from prison. He's going to be on house arrest, pretty much. But this is better than him staying in that jail. That is a very much younger picture of him. He definitely looks different now. He's been one of the main activists that people have been trying to fight for the longest period of time. And he is an indigenous activist who, let me give you a little bit about him over here. Let me read this real quick. So, in one of his last official acts before leaving the White House, President Biden released Leonard Petier from prison. The action is an extraordinary move that ends a decades-long push by indigenous activists, international religious leaders, and human rights organizations, and Hollywood insiders who argued that the 80-year-old Native American activist was wrongly convicted. So let's see. And then the communication was widely opposed by law enforcement, who insisted that Petier's actions were cold-blooded and he should remain in prison for the rest of his life for murdering FBI agents Jack Collier and Ronald Williams in 1975. The agents' deaths came at a time when tensions were high over a nationwide struggle between the U.S. government and activists for Native American civil and treaty rights. So yeah, he is a very, very popular man when it comes to let me see. Yeah, that is a very young picture of him right there. When he's fighting for let's see. Oh, let me see. It's a very historic moment for him to go back home. And I just wanted to mention it really quick. So it says Lenny Petier now gets to go home. said every Indian person ever wanted to do was go back home, back to their people, and now he has an opportunity to do that. Um, let's see. Kevin Sharp is the former Chief Judge of the United States District Court for the Middle District of Tennessee. He represented Petier for 5 years and filed his clemency petition in 2019 and refiled it in 2021. He said Biden granted Petier clemency will have a big impact in the Indian community. President Biden took a enormous step towards healing the reconciliation within the Native people in this country. Sharp said in the statement. Um, it took hold on. It took 50 years to acknowledge the injustice of Linear Petier's conviction and continued incarceration, but with the president's act of mercy, Linear can finally return to his reservation and live out his remaining days. Yeah, it was overdue for generations. I mean, he's been in jail since the 70s, so um, yeah, they framed him for killing those agents because he was a popular, indigenous rights activist. And so yeah, look how old that building is, American Indian Movement. Yeah. And so yeah. So if you want to read more about him, this is on NPR News, is the basically the Minnesota news article. But you could just put in his name and you can read more about him. Yeah, finally, Mike. I know. Like I said, he's been in jail since the 70s, and so I mean, dude should have been out. And so I'm glad that at least Joe Biden did something and got him at least out. I mean, he's not free. I think, like I said, I think he's on essentially what is house arrest. But at least he's not in jail. So, like, especially being that old, I mean, let him just live out his final days on his reservation. You know what I'm saying? And let him live. Um, Maybe he'll start making TikToks. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, but uh, just good. It was something good came out today. Really, out of all the days, if I saw Leonard Petier make TikToks, I'd be like, bruh, I am liking and subscribing. Because what you got to say would be amazing. But yeah, I'd be like, bruh. If he did anything on social media at this point, I'd be like, because he's like, yeah, he's in his 80s at this point. So, um, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick for him. Uh, yeah, because I mean, I think he's still. I remember one time or something. It wasn't Devin. I think it was somebody had spoken to him through the phone on some interview, and he still can speak. He can still, But I would be like, man, just go home and rest, dog. Like, you've been through it for like the last almost 50 years. Yeah. But like I said, if he does interviews, if he, his younger family members help him, get on social media and speak to his issues and speak to indigenous rights, especially, I would be down for that. Because he has been through enough. But yeah, with that, that's the end of the live stream. We have done an hour and 30 minutes today. That is amazing. Like I said, I usually do like an hour. Um, but I'll try to do these what's every 2 weeks per se, just to let the news build up so we have topics to talk about. But this time I wanted to make a live stream because there were so many topics that came up at once, and so many things that were happening. So, but yeah, so if you are new to this live stream, like I said, every 2 weeks, I'm gonna try to stay on this schedule. But I will be moving from this place in late February, early March. So I may not, it may be just one live stream that month. But yeah, thank you, Mike. Um, uh, and so it may be just one that February, but I'll try to do one. This is the end of Yeah, it's the end of January. So I'll probably do one in February, like the first week of February. But we'll post it on our social medias to let y'all know when we do these. But I want to do more of these because I know a lot of people can't make our meetings. Um, and a lot of people may not know what's going on in the queer and trans community. Um, and they may, need some information, or if they have any questions to talk to us, live. So, but yeah, so you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, yeah, Facebook. Bree, you're in Missouri. Yeah, Facebook. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, Twitter, and Twitch. So, but if you have any questions for us, we usually answer them on Facebook or Instagram. Those are our two main ones. Instagram's our biggest. I think we have the biggest amount of people on Instagram. And I wish I could live stream on Instagram, but with this program, StreamYard, it takes a little bit, and live streaming and yeah, you better study Chinese right now. Ni hao. Anyway, but yeah, we're trying to trying to Instagram's kind of hard to live stream on because it's just the way that these sites do it. I saw that anyway. Uh, you try the live stream on Instagram with this site, it would have. There's so much like things you have to kind of like match up with, and then on top of it, it's like um, it with Instagram, it's hard to put the stories on the live stream. You have to put pictures up. You can't put like a story and then like have it. So Instagram, and I wish we could, because Instagram, we could probably get, it'd probably be like maybe like at least 10, maybe 15 people in here with Instagram. But yeah, so, and then YouTube's more accessible than all the other sites because you don't even need a what's the name? You don't even need a Google account. You can just get on YouTube and look up, look us up and stuff. So it makes it easier in that way. So but yeah, so like if you want to donate to us, we're Cash App. There is PayPal, um, coffee. Uh, we can't do what's that one called? Venmo. Yeah, Venmo. Because all of us have a Venmo account, and so Venmo doesn't allow us to have a. You can only have one account on Venmo, so you can't have like two accounts on Venmo. Don't know why. So because we wanted to try to make like a business account and then like have our regular account, and it just wouldn't allow us to do that. So but Cash App, PayPal, and whatever. And like I said, we'll try to do this every 2 weeks. Try to see what's going on with that. We'll let you know what's happening next time. Um, and then yeah, so thank y'all for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad there's like 5-6 people that were on today. If you are in Pensacola, I forgot to mention we meet. We're probably not gonna meet obviously this Wednesday because of the storm, but usually every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Black Cafe and Bookstore. We meet there. It's on Davis Highway. So if you it's like Davis and I think it's not Fairfield. What's that other street? Davis and I can't remember. It might be Davis and Fairfield actually. Where Davis and Fairfield meet, there's a little if you keep on going on Davis, is that fork in the road, and we're by the highway. There's a small building right past the highway part, and we're right there. But just look up Black Cafe and Bookstore, and you'll I mean, if you live in Pensacola, you probably kind of know where it is. And that's where we meet every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Um, we also have a Discord. I forgot to mention. So if you message us on Facebook or Instagram, say, "Hey, I want to be part of Discord." We're on Discord as well. It's a nice community of queer and trans people on there with different channels, from just general channels to like fun channels to theory reading channels, therapy as well. Like you put that might be the first time I've seen Chinese put in my in the chat. But yeah, so there you go. 3948 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. There you go. And so yeah, well, we're going to be learning Chinese soon anyway. If they ban TikTok one more time, no. Like I said, I'm gonna stay on Redbook anyway because I want to learn Chinese. This is soup and this is water. Oh, okay, cool. Um, yeah, because I've been meaning to. I want to learn Spanish too. Because I want to learn how to speak Spanish. I watch so much football and soccer anyway, so I just want to learn. You know, but also learn Spanish. And we have a lot of Spanish speaking people here. Um, in this country as well. So I'm like, I want to learn how to, speak with them, and stuff like that. Also, my love of tacos. So that plays a part in food. Food plays a part in wanting me to speak Spanish. No, I was kidding. But also Chinese too. Like Chinese food is amazing as well. So like I, want to learn Chinese too. But yeah, we have a Discord, so many channels and on there, so many people on there and stuff. And also they do anytime they may want to do an event, usually it's posted in there. So that's great as well. I'm trying to think of anything else that we, and also like any events that we're gonna do will be posted in that Discord, but also obviously it'll be posted in the Facebook and on our Instagram. I think the next event is coming up is it's a drag show on the February 1st. February 1st there'll be a drag show at the Handlebar. But I can't remember. I think it's not the Women's Collective. Is it the I forget what they're called. And they're gonna not like me for not like me, but they're gonna be like, "What the hell? You don't remember?" I'm like, I can't remember. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I can't remember who's running the thing, but um, there will be. I think we will be tabling at the drag show there February 1st. I think that's a Saturday. Let me check. I want to say that's a Saturday. Yeah, it's a Saturday. Yeah, it's a Saturday. So February 1st is Saturday. We'll be tabling there for a drag show. I want to say, is it the Sisters Collect? It's not the Lesbian Collective, which would be funny to say. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's something like that. I think it's one of those groups. So they'll be, they're amazing anyway. But I just can't remember. I just off the top of my head, I can't remember their names. But they'll be there doing that. And I think that's the next event. Also, if you want to be a vendor for Pinsa Pride, they've already started to ask people to be vendors for Pinsa Pride for June. So look up Pinsa Pride on Instagram. They have they're already asking for vendors. So if you want to be a vendor, just letting y'all know now because so yeah, I'll be there. Anyway, so yeah. Like I said, thank you guys again for watching. If you're in Pensacola, be safe out there. Thursday, not Thursday, I'm sorry. For Tuesday and Wednesday, I know it's going to be, we're going to have our kind of snow issue. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be, the weather's going to be crazy the next 2 days. So, so for y'all, who have to drive out there, who have to be out there, just be safe and, just drive safely and be safe about that. But to all those who stay at home, just chill. And thank you guys for watching again. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye. In the stream. No, I'm just kidding.